They say the forest was older than the roads surrounding it, older than the towns nearby, older, some believed, than the names people had given themselves. But the mirror was harder to explain. It stood deep among the trees where almost no one passed anymore. Tall, weathered, quiet. Its surface, slightly darkened with age, yet still clear enough to reflect a face with uncomfortable precision. Most people who found it only glanced once before moving on. Others never returned at all. But he did. The first time he saw it, nothing seemed unusual. Just his reflection staring back beneath the dim forest light. Calm expression, steady posture, controlled eyes. Almost normal. Almost. Because something about the reflection felt heavier. Not physically. Emotionally. The man stepped closer. The reflection followed, and yet for a brief moment, he could have sworn the version of himself inside the mirror looked tired, in a way he did not allow himself to be. He left quickly after that. But the thought remained. Days later, he returned. Not because he believed the mirror was dangerous, because he needed to know why it unsettled him. This time the forest felt quieter than before. Even the wind seemed careful there. He stood again before the mirror. At first, everything matched perfectly. Then the reflection smiled half a second too late. The man's expression disappeared immediately. The reflections did not. It lingered there. Small. Faint. Not mocking him. Almost pitying him. He stepped back instinctively. The reflection finally mirrored him again. For several nights afterward, he told himself not to return. And yet each morning, he found his thoughts drifting back toward the forest. Toward the mirror, toward the strange feeling that it had noticed something about him before he had. The third time, rain moved softly through the trees. Water dripped from the edges of his coat as he approached the clearing. Again, the reflection appeared ordinary at first. Then he noticed the eyes. Not different, just honest. Too honest. The reflection looked exhausted. Not from travel, not from lack of sleep, from carrying something for too long. The man looked away first. And that frightened him more than the mirror itself, because he suddenly realized something difficult to explain. The reflection never showed him a stranger, only the parts of himself he worked hardest to keep hidden beneath composure, the loneliness he ignored by staying busy, the bitterness he disguised as discipline, the fear he renamed caution. Each visit revealed something smaller than a wound but heavier than one, and still he returned. Not out of courage, out of recognition. The forest slowly became less frightening than the silence waiting for him outside it. One evening, he stood before the mirror longer than ever before. Fog drifted between the trees behind him. The fading light softened the edges of the world until only the reflection remained clear. And for the first time, the man stopped studying the mirror for mistakes. Instead, he studied himself. The reflection looked older somehow. Not weaker, just tired of pretending. The man felt something tighten quietly in his chest. Not panic. Not shame exactly, something closer to grief. Because he began understanding how much of his life had been spent, maintaining an image strong enough to avoid difficult truths. And how exhausting that had become. For a long while, neither version of him moved. Then, slowly, the man stepped closer. This time, the reflection did not change. No delayed movements. No altered expression. No hidden emotion surfacing unexpectedly. Only him. Exactly as he was. And strangely, that frightened him less than before. The forest remained silent around him. The mirror unchanged. But something inside him had finally stopped resisting being seen. And maybe that was why the reflection had always felt unsettling. Not because it showed him someone else, but because it showed him someone painfully familiar. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment. If you feel drawn to walk this path of reflection and quiet wisdom, you're welcome to stay. In another quiet story, two voices sit in the dark, trying to understand a change they cannot yet see.